Hey friends, I am in Draper, Utah at a place called the 3% Ranch. I might give you a little look around the property here in a minute. It's actually kind of amazing. This is apparently a neighborhood where houses have little paddocks attached, and everybody has a horse. Not everybody, but like most of the houses have a little paddock with a horse in it, which is an interesting model for a suburban neighborhood. I haven't encountered that before. Annalise was thrilled. And we have arrived. We are kicking off Annalise's Suzuki violin camp today. It starts in a couple of hours. And I've been reflecting on this. This has been an event. I almost can't believe it's here because I've been thinking about it for so long and kind of had it out there in the future for so many months that now that we're here, it's like, whoa, this is actually happening. But I also, I wanted to acknowledge I didn't record a video post yesterday. It was the second day out of 3.5 years that I didn't record a post. By choice, I got to the end of the day and it was, for a variety of reasons, I thought, I'm not going to push this. It had an insane day. Starting with waking up yesterday morning and going to present at the TMTA, Texas Music Teachers Association conference in Waco, where, if you caught my last couple of posts, I've talked about being in Waco. And so that presentation, which also was something I'd been building up to for quite a while, it went really well. I was really, especially given how kind of scrambled and to some degree rushed my preparation necessarily was, I felt really good about what I presented. I think I got really good feedback. I made some connections with folks who said they really resonated with how I talked about improvisation. One of them is a teacher for high school students. One of them teaches in the piano department at Texas A&M. So I made some possible further connections there. And even more, I road tested this idea that I had really kind of birthed, not completely at random, but it just came organically out of an interaction with a colleague, with a former fellow teacher training person. We did Madeline Bruiser's teacher training together, and two of us hit it off. And this whole idea for this program grew out of a subsequent conversation, and it just allowed me to iterate something that I really have done a lot of thinking about. And it almost felt like, I had said this leading into this program. I had said, I have, off the top of my head, I could do 5 more of those programs. Like tomorrow. I would need to put together my PowerPoint, but that's about all I'd need to do. I could do the session very quickly. And doing this one, more than anything, gave me a sense of what that looks and feels like, and just what amazed me about it was because I had this period of time leading into all this where I was just completely occupied. It was the summer. My daughter was out of school. I was with her pretty much full time. I had her in a couple of activities, but even some of her activities I just had to kind of be there. It wasn't like I could drop her off and be at my desk for the day. So I knew I was throwing this together in very little time, and sometimes that has the benefit of stripping away any focus on unnecessariness. You just don't have time for it. You just put down what's essential. And my presentation could certainly be improved. And there are all kinds of ways that I think, and in the delivery of it, I could get better at delivering it. I could know my material a little more. I could pepper it with insights and things. There's plenty of stuff that just came up in the moment yesterday that I just leaned into and used. But ultimately, I could build that into the presentation in a slightly more structured way. There's all kinds of improvements I could make. But the fact is, getting up and doing it. Getting up and just for 1 hour putting together a structured thought piece on a topic that I know, the primary exercise is just is doing it and feeling what it feels like. Because regardless of how it could be improved, what the process showed me was how quickly I can put something together that's compelling, that's effective, that has a real core kind of content to it. It felt really good to iterate something, and it makes me want to do more. Now I'm like, I should just apply to lots more random music teachers conferences and tell them, hey, I do a thing on modes, let me do that. Hey, I do a thing on the modes of melodic minor, let me do that. And just see what bites, because I truly could have 4 or 5 of these that I shop around and whip out whenever I need to. So I learned that yesterday morning, and as I said, there may be some follow-up to it. I may actually end up with some connections to come out of that. That'd be great. And it sets me up to go into this week of music with my daughter in a really kind of wholehearted way. It's not on my mind anymore. I've had a little push, a little performance I was pushing for. Now I'm past it. I can let myself move on to the next thing, which I have been excited about for a long time. There's a kind of learning. If I were going to formulate my intention for this week, it would be to obviously primarily support Annalise and give her whatever she needs. She was really sweet last night. We were talking about, I think her bubby is here, and she was asking her if she's excited to start the camp, and she was saying, yeah, I am. And she said, it's a little scary though. And it was a moment of where I felt a real maturity coming through her. It takes a certain amount of maturity not to filter your fear either into behavior or into talking about something in a way that doesn't acknowledge that might represent the fear, or that might embody the fear, but that doesn't necessarily articulate the fear. It takes a certain amount of maturity to say, what I'm experiencing about this is fear. And I was so proud of her for saying that. And it doesn't seem like she's insanely overly scared about it. She's just got the nerves that anybody would have going into an experience she's never had before. She's going to meet something like 700 kids that are going to be part of this thing, plus dozens of teachers probably. It's a big thing. And so my primary intention is to make this a positive experience for her. but I also have an intention to learn as much as I can from other parents and from the teachers. You know, this is one thing that I've really developed an appreciation for Suzuki, for the Suzuki approach, um, by being part of it as a parent. I didn't really study either piano or violin this way, but I really have. It's really clear why Suzuki became such a global phenomenon, because it's a very, very deep approach, and it really engages with the whole student, right? That his one of our Suzuki's kind of famous. I'm not gonna come up with a quote, but he talks about how it's not about creating prodigy musicians. It's not even about creating musicians. It's about creating whole human beings. And the fact is, whether Suzuki did this or subsequent practitioners of the pedagogy did this, I don't know, but it's very clear that within that philosophy is an expansion to the entire family unit. It's not about developing even a musical student or a musical human. It's about developing a whole family, using the practice of music as a focal point. What I'm learning to do is be a parent, or is parent. I'm learning to parent as I teach my daughter music, as I help her learn music, even if I'm not actively the one teaching it. And I have to say, I really resonate with that. It creates a kind of intention for the whole process that in some ways takes us beyond music, and it doesn't stop at musical excellence. You know, I think for me, musical excellence is part of it. Musical mastery is part of it. That's got to be there. If you drop that, then you lose some of the fuel for the deeper work as a parent or as a family. But that's not the only intention. It's not necessarily the primary intention. And in a lot of ways, that larger, deeper work of the relationship to our child, if we put our intention there, then the musical excellence comes. Then it just becomes kind of like, you know, when I talk about meditation being the primary practice, everything else hangs from that, and everything else is oriented by that. There's a kind of natural hierarchy to our priorities that can happen when we really know what's most important and we know what's subsidiary. Everything ends up being important, but things end up hanging in a way, or stacking in a way that has integrity and stability. So that's how I think about my learning process this week. I'm going in to get better at that. So, and I am doing this post in the early morning because I didn't do one yesterday, and I wanted to recap yesterday, but I'm going to do another one tonight. So this will be a 2-post day. But excited to be here. You probably can't see because of the sun, but there's horses right there. Horses just standing outside our apartment. Amazing. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate you. We'll see you soon.